Hello friends, I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. I hope everything in your world is fantastic. Thank you, everybody who watched yesterday's video and had something to say. I really appreciate that I have friends who help me through life, and I hope I can help my kids through life. That's kind of the whole point. Okay. Enough sappiness. We've had sappiness. If you didn't notice, in yesterday's video, there's something new in the scene, and I'll give you a minute to find it. Yeah, it's right here. It's this device. This is the mystery project that I've been working on forever. I think I bought the pieces of this project, I don't know, probably well over a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago. I've had the stuff, and it's a woodworking vise. Specifically, it's a quick release woodworking vise that I made out of a pipe clamp and a couple of pieces of steel tubing. And I have had this idea for a very long time. There's a YouTuber named Jay Bates who made what's called a Moxon vise, which is essentially a vise that has two screws on it. So you'd have a vise that's like really wide, and on each end you would have a screw so that you could put big panels in there or whatever it might be, or you could clamp up things at odd angles because you can cant it a little bit. And I thought, that's a really good idea, but I have no need for a Moxon vise. What I do need is a woodworking vise. And so I actually went and bought the materials to make this. I did not have this stuff laying around. Now, that being said, I think total cost on this is about maybe $20. If you had to buy the plywood, it might be more, but I had some 3/4 inch plywood laying around. I bought this 3/4 inch plywood to do something, but I have no recollection of what that was, so I used it for this. It's essentially, you have a pipe clamp here. The welding that I had to do was these end caps. These are 1/2 inch steel tubing end caps that I welded onto some face plates and put together with some pipe threaded into it. On the underside of the bench on the back is the other half of the pipe clamp. So this thing threads in and it catches. You can reach under there and hit the release. I am working on a design for making a external release, like somewhere near the front of the jaw, so I don't have to reach under the bench. But for right now, reaching under the bench is totally fine. And for the most part, I can use just this, the 3 or 4 inches of tightness that I have available to me here to use this. So I've wanted to build it for a long time. I bought the stuff, and related to yesterday's video, this is one of those projects that just anxiety got to me, and it became overwhelming. Part of that was because the outer diameter of these tubes isn't like a standard size, so you can't just buy drill bits that fit these. What I have since learned is that you don't want drill bits that fit these. In fact, you want fairly enlarged holes. The hole in the front here, in this very front piece, is it's pretty darn close. It's tight. But as it goes back in, it tapers out quite a bit. Because otherwise, it's very hard to get these bars perfectly parallel with each other. They're not parallel with each other. They're splayed out. And so because of that, the holes need to have a little bit of wiggle room. Not so much that the thing flops around, but there's some wiggle room. So I finished it last night. The video, I've started the edit. I'll hopefully finish the edit this weekend, but I doubt it. It'll probably be out next week. There's a lot of clips in there that I want to piece together into something intelligent, but I'm really happy with the way it works. I had to learn a few lessons. The welding on this particular side, I welded it, I just kind of went for it, and I learned my lesson there. This is 1/8 inch thick steel plate, and it warped bad. Like, it's really warped. So tightening it down in here really made this piece move. And being that this is cast iron, or wrought iron, whatever, this pipe fitting, trying to tweak on this plate would probably break this. In fact, I tried to bend one of the welds, and it just broke a piece of the cast iron off. So you really have to be careful with the way that goes together. And I put some wax on it to help the motion. I had cut out a front jaw here. The idea with this is it goes on here before this all goes in the bench. And it would sit flush here, but actually I got this front face really flush with the edge of my bench, so I don't see a need for this at all. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to put some leather on this face. Maybe I'll do it on the bench instead of here, but I'm going to put some leather on it to help give it grip. I don't see a need to have this piece. I'll just use the edge of the bench. So that's cool. But it's always there if I wanted to put a second jaw on it. But I'm really, really happy with the way this thing came out. It works really well. It's got, you know, easy motion in and out, but it doesn't flop around, and I could clamp stuff tight. I made a whole bunch of curls yesterday and posted a little picture on Instagram, and I will be sure to get the video up as soon as possible. So I'm excited. I'm excited that I finally have a vise. I've had this workbench now for 3 or 4 years, and I moved into this house 6 years ago, and I haven't had a vise in that whole time. No vise. I don't even have a metalworking vise. I have this is it, drill press vise. It's the only vise I own. So having a woodworking vise is going to be a very big help. And oftentimes I'm looking for not just something for woodworking, but just to be able to hold something. And a lot of times I'll clamp stuff to my bench. Like I'll put a clamp on something and then clamp my clamp to the bench just to be able to hold, even just for drilling holes or whatever it is I'm trying to do. So having this will be a very big help. And I'm very, very pleased with the way it came out. I would say, unless you had this stuff laying around, it's probably not worth it to make one. Like I said, this is about 20 bucks. It's pretty big. I made this foot wide, 6 inches deep, so this is a big vise. But you can buy a pretty decent 8-inch vise on Amazon for about 40 bucks. And the headache that I went through to make this is probably not worth it. I probably should have just spent the money, but it was a good exercise. Had I had the pipes laying around already, because I used pipe clamps, it probably is worth it if you have the stuff just laying around and you have access to a welder, obviously. But yeah, that was the project. I am in Columbus this weekend, and we get to go to the Columbus Crew game tomorrow night, and Keely gets to play on the field, and that's going to be amazing. So I will be taking the camera along, and I might do a vloggy type thing on Sunday, or I'll just wait and release it next week. But I'm really excited because Columbus is my MLS team, so I'm going to have to get my Columbus jersey out, and it doesn't fit me very well, but I'll wear it anyway. So thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being my wonderful friends. Thank you again for the comments from yesterday, and I will see you on Monday.
Hey, Doc, wait! I want to ask you something.
Today's random fact comes from hotdog.org. Why are they called hot dogs? References to Dachshund sausages and ultimately hot dogs can be traced to German immigrants in the 1800s. These immigrants brought not only sausages to America, but Dachshund dogs. The name most likely began as a joke about the Germans' small, long, thin dogs. No comment.